Alright, three, two, one. Hello, 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 hello to my Vexerone community. I hope y'all are doing amazing today. Today I really don't have much of a tingly video for you. Not like I really do. I feel like the one really big thing I've always excelled at life has been like positive affirmations, more positive affirmations, probably because I didn't get that as a lot as a child. Wait a minute, that's a little bit too real. My bad, y'all. But today I actually kind of want to make like a longer video. I'm already kind of cozy. I got some like lo-fi on my TV here. I got some like nice lighting in my background, And something that y'all should know about me is that where I work out at, there are two options for a gym, and the first option, I'm actually not gonna say it because privacy is a thing, but for 1 month membership, you have to pay $200, $200 a month just to work out. And what's crazy is that right next to that place is a senior citizen community center, which I stumbled in. They had a very, very small gym there, but they told me it's $20 for the month. Now, what does it mean for this book? Well, in that community center, they have a library, and I've always been interested in trying to maybe read more books, read more literature, just try to do something that's away from the video games and TikTok and Instagram all the time. And so I asked, what does it take for me to rent out a book? They said, free. They said free. And something that y'all gotta know about me, mama raised me cheap, mama raised me frugal, mama raised me to be a cheap ass mofo. So here I am today. This is going to be a much more longer form of content. Just a couple notes before I start. I am no pronunciation expert. There are probably going to be words in here that I don't necessarily understand. As far as like pacing and all that kind of jazz, I'll do my best. But if anything, what I want you to do is that I want you to relax. 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 Because I understand that you've had a long day. I understand that there's a lot of pressures on you right now. And just for today, just take that burden off. Just take that burden off. Take that burden off. Put on some headphones. Relax your muscles. Sink deep and deeper into that bed. And let me just talk to you. And then just the last thing to talk about is as far as my general tone, because I'm going to be sitting a little bit farther away from the mic. I'll probably be talking my more regular voice when I come out over here. Hopefully that doesn't bother you too much. So just keep in mind the little volume thing as well. Alright, sound good? Cool. Okay. So again, one of the craziest things is that growing up, I was really into reading books. I said this in my last video, one of my last videos, but I actually grew up homeschooled as a kid. So my parents were very anti-Call of Duty, anti-video game when I was a kid. So a lot of the times my entertainment came from reading books like Percy Jackson, like The Hunger Games. There were obviously more minute books. My favorite book that I've ever read, was called Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It was my first ever 1,000-page book, and it's got such good world building, such good character development, so many good stories. I've reread that book 20 million times at this point, and it never fails to disappoint. But what's funny about this book is that it's called The Art of Drowning by Billy Collins, and it's interesting because it's the first ever poetry book. That I've ever picked up, which means that it'll probably be pretty hard to decipher what I'm actually saying and the pronunciation of certain words. So let's do our best for today. The first title, the first poetry book we're going to be kind of reciting. I do not know how to pronounce these words, but it says Oso Buko. Okay, let's try it out. I love the sound of the bone against the plate, and the fortress-like look of it, lying before me in a moat of risotto, the meat soft as the leg of an angel who has lived a purely airborne existence. And best of all, the secret marrow, the invaded privacy of the animal prized out with a knife and swallowed down with cold, exhilarating wine. I am swaying now in the hour after dinner, a citizen tilted back on his chair, a creature with a full stomach, something you don't hear much about in poetry, that sanctuary of hunger and deprivation, you know, the driving rain, the boots by the door, small birds searching for berries in the winter. But tonight, the lion of contentment has placed a warm, heavy paw on my chest, and I can only close my eyes and listen to the drums of woe throbbing in the distance and the sound of my wife's laughter on the telephone in the next room. The woman who cooks the savory osso buco, who pointed to show the butcher the one she wanted, she who talks to her faraway friend while I linger here at the table with a hot, companionable cup of tea, feeling like one of the friendly natives, a reliable guide, maybe even the chief's favorite son. Somewhere a man is crawling up a rocky hillside on bleeding knees and palms, an Irish penitent carrying the stone of the world in his stomach. And elsewhere people of all nations stare at one another across a long, empty table. But here, the candles give off their warm glow, the same light that Shakespeare and Isaac Walton wrote by, the light that lit and shadowed the faces of history. Only now it plays on the blue plates, the crumpled napkins, the crossed knife and fork. In a while, one of us will go up to bed, and the other one will follow. Then we will slip below the surface of the night into miles of water, drifting down and down to the dark, soundless bottom until the weight of dreams pulls us lower still, below the shale and layered rock, beneath the strata of hunger and pleasure, into the broken bones of the earth itself, into the marrow of the only place we know. That's so wild. That's so crazy. I would say this okobuko thing is just like a piece of meat, just starting out from a regular dinner, but to go so deep into it, to write so much into it, I'm not going to go into the meaning of the entire poem, but that last paragraph is really beautiful, the way he constructs it, right? He says, then we will slip below the surface of the night into miles of water, drifting down and down to the dark, soundless bottom, until the weight of dreams pulls us lower still, below the shale and layered rock, beneath the strata of hunger and pleasure, into the broken bones of the earth itself, into the marrow of the only place we know. I think that's beautiful. Again, I'm not going to go into the meaning of that, but I am an enjoyer of pretty words on pretty paper. I am not going to lie. That's beautiful. Do you want to move on to the next one? Do I really hear what you're saying? I'm sorry. I actually want to read the next one, so let's go to the next one, shall we? Okay, this one's actually pronounceable. So the title of this poem is called Directions. You know the brick path in back of the house? The one you see from the kitchen window? The one that bends around the far end of the garden where all the yellow primroses are? And you know how if you leave the path and walk up into the woods, you come to a heap of rocks, probably pushed down during the horrors of the Ice Age, in a grove of tall hemlocks, dark green now against the light brown fallen leaves? And farther on, you know that small footbridge with a broken railing, and if you go beyond that, you arrive at the bottom of the Sheep's Head Hill? Wow, if you start climbing, you might have to grab hold of a sapling when the going gets steep. You will eventually come to a long stone ridge with a border of pine trees, which is as high as you can go and a good enough place to stop. The best time is late afternoon, when the sun strobes through the... Oh, I apologize for that. I feel like my pacing wasn't good for that one. Let me reread that. The best time is late afternoon, when the sun strobes through the columns of trees as you are hiking up, and when you find an agreeable rock to sit on, you will be able to see the light pouring down into the woods and breaking into the shapes and tones of things, and you will hear nothing but a sprig of birdsong or the leafy falling of a cone or nut through the trees. And if this is your day, you might even spot a hare or feel the wing beats of geese driving overhead towards some destination. But it is hard to speak of these things, how the voices of light enter the body and begin to recite their stories, how the earth holds us painfully against its breast made of humus and brambles, how we who will soon be gone regard the entities that continue to return greener than ever, spring water flowing through a meadow and the shadows of clouds passing over the hills and the ground where we stand in the tremble of thought, taking the vast outside into ourselves. That's beautiful. Still, let me know before you set out. Come knock on my door, and I will walk with you as far as the garden with one hand on your shoulder. I will even watch you and not turn back to the house until you disappear into the crowd of maple and ash, heading up toward the hill, piercing the ground with your stick. What I really enjoy about these poems is that it always starts very light. It starts very like ambiguous, right? And I'm not gonna say it gets more specific towards the end, but the detail, the seriousness, the tonality of the words and how they weigh upon the reader. I'm not sure if you feel it as I do, because I can only read, right? And maybe reading's not the best way to truly discover it. But I feel the tone and the weight shift throughout these 2 pages, and I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Shall we go to the next one? I think we should do one more. How about that? Does that sound good? Does that sound good? It sounds good to me, so I'm gonna do it. But yeah, the third poem is called Influence. All these years, and I never realized why I found the mourning dove so interesting, until you pointed out that morning we stood by the icy window, its resemblance to Robert Penn Warren, the secretive eyes, soft royal neck, and the mild unruffled demeanor. It was the day after a garrulous night of champagne and shrimp, lamb and red wine, and we were watching a huddle of them, pecking around in the fresh snow under the feeder, and your comment, so astute and perfectly weird, made me feel enclosed again in the coded talk of friendship, that tall pagoda where companions can sit on pillows and observe the great china of life filing by and say whatever comes to mind. I love those friendships too. Steam curlicued up from the tea, a recorded horn was noodling in the background, And I forget what else was said, unless it was that long necks of aristocrats accounted for the popularity of the guillotine. Then we all said goodbye, and you and Luis waved your way down the driveway and drove off in the clear winter night. But for days afterward, whenever I saw the doves milling around in the snow, their legs thin as pencil leads, I found myself thinking of all the king's men, picturing the cover of the paperback I used to carry around in my jacket pocket. I even began to wonder, as the sun nudged the shadows of the bare trees across the snow, whether the titmouse fluttering about in its own tiny sphere of excitement did not remind me somewhat of Marion Moore. Wow, I have no clue what that poem meant. But like I said, y'all, I am a fiend. I am a fiend for pretty words on pretty paper. I hope y'all enjoy those little bits of poetry. I hope y'all enjoy those words. I hope y'all still have those closed eyes. I hope you guys do have your eyes closed, your eyes closed, your eyes closed, your eyes closed. I don't know about you, but for me that was like a really, really relaxing night, and I actually think that I'm probably gonna do more of this in the future. But let's not forget about the things that really, really matter outside of poetry. Can we talk for a second about me and you? Can we talk about you and how you're doing in life? Hi. Are you okay? Have people been treating you right? More importantly, have you been treating yourself right lately? What about that inner monologue? Do you have a little inner monologue in your head? What's that inner monologue saying to you? Is it saying good things? Is it saying bad things? I don't know what you just responded. You may have said good and you may have said bad. For me, I'm going to talk about the one that relates to me most. And I just want to say real quick that if you do have an inner monologue in your head saying bad things, please know that that person and those thoughts are not rooted in any sort of objectivity, in any sort of reality, or anything that is known to the real world. And on the same vein that you have that inner monologue in your head saying a bad thing, you can absolutely develop another vein, another inner monologue, which tells you, hey, that guy, he ain't saying good things. Stop that right now. That new vein could tell you how beautiful you are. That new vein can show you how amazing you are. I am only a random man on the internet. Don't rely on me. I love subscribers and I love likes and I love the YouTube algorithm. I actually don't really care too much about that. But what I'm saying is that I want you to rely on yourself. I want you to know how beautiful you are. I want you to know how amazing you are. And it really breaks my heart when you don't see that. It breaks my heart when you don't see that. Please treat yourself with respect in this crazy world. I absolutely hope to see you again on another video. I want to thank you for being so, I want to thank you for being so inclusive, and so just understanding of my want to experiment with this channel. I honestly am being very selfish. I know that people really love the positive. Well, I guess I did do some positive affirmations today. I promise y'all, it actually comes out pretty naturally for me. I mean, I've always enjoyed positive affirmations. I find that sometimes in life, I had to kind of say these things to myself over and over again because, you know, not everyone in life is lucky enough to have someone to say these things about them. And I know that this is like the internet, and I know that I know that this is like the internet, and I know that it's really hard to build like a relationship because I always say this, like, you don't know me and I don't know you, so like how am I supposed to know that? But like, And I'm also just a 22-year-old out here just doing his best, right? I still have things to figure out. Um, but like, I don't know how else to express it. Like, I want you to do well in life. I really, like, you deserve that, okay? You deserve that. So please be safe. Please be kind to yourself. Please, please see every single day and every single minute as a new opportunity. Please see the blessings in life. In the same vein that you can say there are bad things happening and that there are busy things happening, you can also say that there are good things happening. Perhaps it is the morning sun. Perhaps it is the early chirping of birds. Perhaps it is a casual conversation with the parents. Perhaps it's just a good snack. Perhaps it's just a little video interaction between me and you. Count your blessings. Be grateful in those interactions. Really dive deep into those. Life is a beautiful journey of ups and downs, and I find that there is no end goal for me that I necessarily want. But in this journey that we call life, I certainly want to do my best, and I want to make sure that you're doing your best as well. Because that's what friends are here for, and that's what I want to be here for you. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. Yeah, I love you so much. Please be safe, be kind, be warm, cozy up a little bit, alright? And I'll see you on another video. So with that being said, thank you and